presenting to such an esteemed group, and I am a CNS myself. Although I have to say, I want you guys to change the title. Okay, we got to from CNS to NSEs, Nursing System Engineers. I had the great experience. Anybody here from Froder, Milwaukee? Anyways, I walked in to do a talk there about, I don't know, a few months ago. And I knew it was going to be a great place because I saw like 3 or 4 people with the title CNS on their badge. And of course, Froder is one of the top places in the country, a huge magnet hospital. And so it's a privilege for me to present to you. So what I want you to do right now is think about conflict and how you interface or interact with conflict. And I want you to think of a number between 1 and 10. 1 is, I avoid conflict like the plague. I walk away from it. It gives me agita. When I know I have a meeting in the morning that's going to be contentious, I get diarrhea, whatever. So that's 1. On the other side is 10. 10 is, I love conflict. I look forward to it every day. I'm passionate about it. And I want you to think of a number between 1 and 10. Okay, got it? Yeah. Okay, so I want all the 1s to sit down. Okay. 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s. Okay, this is about normal. 6, 7. We're getting into pathology now. 8, 9. Oh, and we have any 10s? We got a couple 10s, yes. I'll give you the name of a good counselor when I'm done. But anyways, I'm a 10, and why am I a 10? Well, because I get agita too when there's something that's conflicted. When I have to go into a big meeting and I know it's going to be contentious, bad stuff happens to me, you know. And but what I love about conflict is the results feel so good, right? On the other side of conflict, it feels so good. So I started on this Crucial Conversations journey about 13 years ago, and I became a trainer and trained hundreds of people. And I can't tell you the impact that teaching leaders how to deal with conflict has on an organization. So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, first, a couple disclosures. I do own a consulting company, but I'm the director of nursing at Ackerman University in Niagara Falls. And I'm also a nurse practitioner in the intensive care unit with cardiac surgery in Rochester Regional, so I have to shout out to those 2 places for allowing me to be here. So, to ask questions, I know if I said put away your phones, please don't do anything with your phones, blah, 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 it probably wouldn't work. So I'm going to use it to my advantage. So if you have a question between now and tonight at 9 o'clock, we're going to shut it off at 9, okay? But between now and 9, you can, my pointer's not working, you can tweet me if you want at MHAckerman. We are using the hashtag NACNS17, so if you want to get that discussion going, you can do it on Facebook, on Twitter, whatever you want. Or you can text me at 585-317-5185. Okay? We're all good with that? So go ahead, use your phones. I don't care. I tried in my classroom with the 20-year-olds. It doesn't work there, so I'm sure it's not going to work here. So stop the silence in healthcare. Let me tell you a little bit about me, and I'm full disclosure here. I have had a lot of jobs. I left Rochester for a journey into corporate healthcare in Buffalo. And I had a senior director role in a hospital in Buffalo. And it was a unionized environment. And there were no CNSs. And I was in charge of shaping nursing practice, if you will. And right at the time that I came in, we were about to go through a $28 million turnaround. $28 million turnaround, okay? Which wasn't pleasant. It was extremely difficult. I was laying off new grad ICU nurses that just got off orientation. I eliminated half our unit secretaries. I had the union in my face telling me I am an SOB, among other things. How can you do this? You're stupid, blah, blah, blah. But we reached our goal, right? We reached our goal. And then the impact of that turnaround started to hit the system. So financially, we look great. And at one meeting, sitting there, one of our COOs walks in and says, how come you guys aren't excited? And we're like, well, you know, if our quality followed the finances, maybe we'd be more excited. Does that sound familiar? Okay? You with me? Yeah. All right. So then, you know, I tried to round in all my units every day, sometimes twice, and that was unusual. You know, nurses would start to say, what's he doing here? Why is he looking in on my patient? What's wrong with me? Is he looking for something? No, I just want to talk to patients. I want to see you. And it was so toxic. But I tried to change it. I got them to agree to do a crucial conversations course. And, you know, that's just a tool. It's not a magic bullet. So finally, I reached the point, and they brought in a new CNO who, let's just say, wasn't totally effective. And there were some challenges. And the one day I walked through the ICU, and I had 104 critical care beds under me. I walked through the ICU, every critical care nurse was tripled. Every one. Okay? And I had chargers crying, saying, how can you help me? I'm like, I can't. So I reached the point. How many of you have experienced moral distress in your life? Yeah. I was there. I was like, I can't do this. My wife said to me, this job's going to kill you. Thank goodness I have great friends like Kathleen where I can pick up the phone and say, Kathleen, what can I do? You know, and that's the beauty of having a network like this. You pick up the phone when you're struggling like that. So, man, what should I do? So finally I walked away. I walked away from a large amount of money to nothing. Because I was walking through my own building and I felt like a fraud. Right? And that sucks. When you feel like a fraud. Here I am speaking to however many CNSs about stop the science in healthcare. I can't do it in my own building. So I said, I got to fix this. So I started a social media campaign called Stop the Science in Healthcare. Those are caricatures of my 3 kids. So I wanted to introduce you there. So when I talk about silence, I talk about a few different things. I just got to get the sound plugged in. I talk about a few different things. We talk about a healthy work environment. And you know, when we talk about healthy work environment, there's a lot of people that do a lot of work in this area, but only until recently, and when I say recently, I mean the last 5 to 6 years, have we had data coming out that shows that the work environment affects outcomes, right? The work environment affects outcomes. I'm going to show you a study that just came out in JAMA Surgery relating surgical, unsolicited reports of surgeon behavior and outcomes. The more unsolicited comments about surgeons, the worse their outcomes. Wow, when did we ever talk about that? We all knew it, but now it's in the data. Now it's in the literature. So I talk about the work environment and outcomes and safety, but we also talk about lateral violence. How many of you experienced it? How many of you experienced lateral violence? Raise your hand. Okay? How's it feel? It's bad. Have you ever spoke up about it? Maybe yes, maybe no. But it's hard. It's really hard. So I said, I have to help. I got to do something. So then I called on my friend, The Rock. And I'm not advocating that. That was Vince last night. I'm not advocating that. So why are we here? Well, the first reason is, do you agree that a lack of trust and poor teamwork lead to poor patient care? Do y'all agree with that? Okay, cool. Poor patient care leads to patient harm and fewer patients. Right? Are you in a competitive environment where you live? Right? Do you start to talk about market share? All right? Do we care about market share? Yeah. Do hospitals close every day because of poor quality? Yes, absolutely. Lack of effective communication and silence is at the heart of burnout and moral distress. Agreed? Cool. Lateral violence may be damaging to patients and is damaging to staff. Agreed? Okay. There are methods to improve. So the first part of this talk is going to be, oh my God, this is supposed to be the end note. I'm supposed to feel uplifted when I go home, and I'm like, this guy's just bringing me down horribly. There's hope. At the end, there's hope. And I'm going to give you some tools that maybe you might try. All right? Take a risk. Try it. So people have written about this. This is one of my favorite books. It's a real book. It's a great book to have at the airport. You kind of hold it up. People look at it like, what the heck's this guy reading? Do you know any of these people? Yeah, they exist. Another good book, Crucial Conversations, highly recommended. It's a quick read. Then there's Choosing Civility. I just finished this one. It's simple stuff like please and thank you. Right? Please and thank you. But we work in such a chaotic environment, what happens? What's the first thing that goes in that environment? Civility. How hard is please? How much does it cost? What's the ROI? Huge. How about thank you? You know, my son's a patient care tech at Strong Memorial Hospital in Rochester. And sometimes he describes things to me the way nurses treat him that make me ashamed to be a nurse. I'm like, wow. So civility, gotta have it. Then there's other things that have come out that people have written about. And then the Joint Commission about, 6 or 8 years ago said, you know, we know disruptive behavior exists in the environment. Now you gotta measure it and we gotta be able to report on it. Now we can argue about the effectiveness of those programs. All right? And I'll give you access to my website that you can get all these slides, or I'll post them wherever you want to post them for the meeting. But we have to report on this. So 3 things I want you to ponder. The first one is relationships. How important are relationships for you to be effective? Huge. Huge, right? How much time do you spend developing those relationships? Now I'm talking to CNSs who get this. All right? If I was talking to a group of managers, I'd get this blank stare. Like, relationships. What about my budget? What about staffing? What about this? What about that? I said, go out and talk to your staff. It's amazing what they'll tell you. But you guys are out there, right? You're at the bedside. So we don't have to spend much time on relationships, but if you get people to buy into what you're trying to do because they trust you and because you have a vision, you can get them to do anything, right? Most of the time. Most of the time. Second thing, vital behavior. So here's part of the take home. So in your organization, or in your setting, you can define it as a unit, you can define it as a service, a hospital. What are the vital behaviors that drive the organization? And what I mean by that are just simple things, like when you're on the elevator, hold the elevator for somebody. Or in one of the hospitals in Buffalo I worked, we called it the 5-10 rule. Do you know what the 5-10 rule is? It's a 10-5 rule, actually. 10 feet away, look up. 5 feet away, acknowledge the other person. That's a vital behavior. How much does that cost? Does that go a long way? Yeah, it does. So you have to establish what are those vital behaviors. The problem with the vital behaviors is when somebody doesn't do it, how do you hold them accountable? That's the tough part. How do you have that conversation to say, you can't call your colleague a dirtball, all right? You just can't. Or a poop head, or whatever, okay? You can't do that. So the accountability piece, it's great to have these, but if there's no consequences, then it makes it a little more difficult. But you need to work on this. So at the unit level, and I would get deployed at Strong in Rochester, and my CNO, who was a wonderful woman, used the word literally, deployed. And you know some of these units where you need deployment because they're going to implode on their own if somebody doesn't get in there, which is what you guys do best, and fix the system because you're nursing system engineers. That's your new title. So what are those vital behaviors? All right? And don't forget about electronic communication behavior. All right? Because that can bite you right you know where. Right? And the last thing is power gap. So in your organization, when we talk about cultures, we talk about the power gap. How much power gap is there between the top dog and the worker bees? Okay? And we use the airline industry to describe this, right? In the airline industry, is there a power gap? Is there? Who can ground a plane? Anybody. Ground crew, flight attendants, pilots. Now the pilot flies the plane, thank goodness. goodness. But there's no power gap. And in your organization, you have to ask yourself, is there a power gap? And specifically for CNSs, where do you sit in the power structure for you to be effective? Do you have legitimate authority to make decisions? And if not, I think that begs a question and a conversation. So for people to change their behavior, the first thing you have to do is what? Create a sense of urgency. All right? So we want to create a sense of urgency. Now that's not the urgency we want to create. But when we talk to nurses, that's the first thing we think about, right? So Cotter's 8 Stages of Change. Great book. Great book. Very practical. First step is urgency. So if you're struggling, if your culture's struggling, if you're not able to speak up, the first thing you have to do is create that sense of urgency. Why is that important? Did you have a bad outcome because someone didn't speak up? It's 2016, 17, we're still having wrong-sided surgeries, right? And when you dig down into it, what's one of the big problems? Bad communication, right? So the first step is create a sense of urgency. So what I'm going to do with this slide is try to connect the dots. So I use this term called intellectual honesty. Are you able to be intellectually honest? There's no emotion here. Intellectually honest with your colleagues. That's that crucial conversations piece. So I'm in this leadership fellowship program, and we went away to this nice place, and we spent 3 days talking about feedback. 3 days on feedback, and we learned this technique called SBI. Has anyone ever heard of it? SBI? I'd look it up. The situation, the behavior, and the impact. So what's the situation? At that meeting the other day, when you rolled your eyes when I made a comment, it made me, that's the situation. So put it into context. Put it into context first. That made me feel like you didn't respect me. There's the behavior. Bingo, right at me. The impact is that disrupted our meeting because now others feel that maybe what I'm saying isn't worthwhile. That's the impact. SBI, I give that to you. Is it positive or negative feedback? I don't know. It's feedback. What you do with it, you make it positive or negative. And that's what we get into is, oh, I don't want to say that to her. I don't want to hurt her feelings. Well, she can hurt her own feelings because she can interpret it how she wants. But if you use it, and it gets back to that relationship, if someone has a relationship with you, they'll listen, don't you think? So it's that intellectual honesty. That's the behavior that we create to create the culture that promotes the outcomes. So all these things are related. And I'm going to give you some work by Shine, who's a social psychologist, about how do we define culture, because I think there's a little bit of disconnect when we talk about culture and how we define it. So I'm going to give you kind of a new way to think about culture in a minute. So where do we start? Well, I call this the do's and taboos. And if I had more time, I'd have you actually do this. This is where I think you start. So you have a unit that's just not firing on all cylinders, right? And you say, wow, what is wrong here? Boy, this one doesn't like this one. We got this clique over here. We got the alpha female on nights that's just chewing up the new grads, because where do we put all the new grads? On nights. And then we wonder why they don't do well, by the way. And I'm guilty of it. I hired them. I put them in certain places. But you start with the do's and taboos. So start off by just defining 3 things that you're going to do as a group. Just 3 things. How many of you have unit councils? If you're a magnet, you got to have them, right? Unit councils. What a great tool, right? Let the staff come up with these. Don't push them down their throats as a manager. As a CNS, get the staff together. Say, hey, guys, let's do some culture work, right? And let's start off with just 3 or 4 behaviors that we're always going to do. Like, say good morning when you come in. You got anybody that doesn't do that? Yeah. It's like, oh, they're not good in the morning. Not until they get their 6th cup of coffee. And their 2 smoke breaks. Then we can go. But anyways, so let's start off with just 3 or 4 do's. Don't make them hard. Make them simple. But everyone buys into it. And the unit council is a great way to do that. Right? So you start off with 3 do's. Then you come up with 3 or 4 taboos. These are things we're not going to do. Not going to do. And we're all going to stand behind it. And our council says this is what we do. So I got deployed when I switched from academic life to hospital life about 12 or 13 years ago. Made the other move recently because didn't like that craziness in the hospital setting. And I was deployed to a cardiovascular ICU where we just started doing transplants, and it was toxic. And this is one of our first exercises. In fact, Kathleen came and spoke to the group when we first got started. My first 2 things I did was the first 2 days I had her and Tom Aarons come and talk to the group, and because they're not going to believe me. And we did a wonderful job, but we came up with these do's and taboos, and we all walked out of there saying, "Do you all agree to this?" It wasn't the manager, and how many of you are managers? Anybody? So it's hard to let go sometimes, isn't it? It's hard to let go. Boy, I don't know if we can trust the staff to do this. Well, let them come up with it. So start with your do's and taboos. Okay? Next thing, why shouldn't we be silent? Why shouldn't we be silent? Well, let's talk about it. Okay? So I've laid the context, so I've laid the groundwork for this. Okay? And I've given you just a couple little nuggets. There'll be more nuggets later. All right? So a few nuggets. First thing is, the first reason why we do this is we know that at the heart of Sentinel events is communication. Lack of communication, right? And those of you that do root cause analyses, I'm sure you all are involved in those. You know, oftentimes the end result is, boy, we just missed the boat. There was a bad SBAR, there was a bad handoff, patient went home thinking that they should take 5 Ackerman, and they were only supposed to take 2 Ackerman. Why? Because we were in such a rush to get them out the door that we couldn't explain it, and then the nurse didn't show up because no one ordered the PT draw, the INR draw. Bad communication, right? Y'all agree with that? Okay. So silence does kill. And there was a paper that came out several years ago, the American Association of Critical Care Nurses and Vital Smarts, which wrote the book Crucial Conversation, did a huge study, and basically they came up with 7 areas that if you don't have a crucial conversation, it'll lead to an error. And I bet you could think back for the last month and identify 1, 2, 3, or 4 things here that you've seen that happens. So I'm teaching sophomores med surg. I love it. They're just like this blank slate, and you don't even have to understand neuro like I don't, and they believe what I'm telling them. So, anything from here up is off limits to me. So I always start the class off with, "Hey, how's clinical going?" And the one student raised her hand and said, "Well, I saw a nurse. She recapped a needle." I said, "Oh, really? And what did she say?" She said, "Oh, I know they teach that to you in nursing school, but that's not real life." And I said, "Bullshit. This is a Catholic school, so Father Marr, the university president, probably quivered when I said that. But doesn't that invoke a response in you that's like, no, that's not true. I'll discipline you if you stick yourself recapping a needle, right? So that stuff happens out there, and it's happening, and you try to protect the students away from it, but it's out there. Also had a nurse tell a student, well, the student said to me, "Aren't you supposed to double check insulin?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "Well, the nurse I was working with just signed somebody else's initials." I'm like, whoa! Now, I wouldn't expect the student to speak up there, would you? No, that's not, she can't do that. But those are the types of things that lead to errors, and no one's saying a word. That's the problem. No one's saying a word. What you permit, you promote, right? That's the problem here, guys. So AACN, wonderful organization, came up with the Healthy Work Environment Standards. It's critical care, but it can be applied to really any work environment. So bravo to them. You can look those up online. Then the silent treatment came out, another study by Vital Smarts with AACN and the OR group. And what they came up with is dangerous shortcuts, incompetence, and disrespect. A large number of people reported that they witnessed those things, but the bottom line is very few people spoke up to say anything or do anything about it. That's sad. It's dangerous, and it's hurting patients. Just more data on communication issues, nursing abuse. This study, I don't know if any of you know Linda Aiken. Linda Aiken is an icon, right? And if Linda Aiken writes something, you should pay attention to it. And she came out with this study that the title is The Effects of Hospital Environment on Patient Mortality and Nurse Outcomes. This kind of data hasn't been available to us up until recently. We knew it existed. We knew that there was a relationship between the environment and the outcomes, but no one really studied it. This is one of the key papers that came forward highlighting this. And basically, the conclusion was care environment elements must be optimized alongside nursing staffing and education to achieve high-quality care. Right? Bottom line. And if you're not doing that, you're putting patients at risk. So the environment matters. And the environment where it's safe to speak up and challenge the norm and challenge things that you don't think are right has to exist. Then Joint Commission came out with the nurse's role in communication and patient safety. I won't read this to you, but the bottom line is nurses are responsible. Nurses have to own their own profession. Okay? We're moving, and T. Port O'Grady writes about shared governance. We're moving from shared governance now to professional governance, which means administration sets the context of what we do. Nursing owns the practice. We're not going to be told anymore what we got to do, how we got to do it. Nursing has to own it. And what better group than this group to drive that? Right? We have to own it. And that's what Joint Commission says to us, is we have to, nurses and nursing practice has to be able to communicate. Then this paper came out looking at, and Lassinger is a Canadian author who does wonderful work in this space, linking nursing perception of patient care to job sat. Good nurses aren't going to stick around if the place is bad, are they? You lose them. And so that's what I say to managers. Yeah, I know that conversation's hard, but you got this really good group over here, and you're going to lose them if you don't do something about it. So that one person is going to drag you down. And the conclusion was authentic leaders play an important role in creating and empowering professional practice environments. Okay, so what matters? Why does this matter? Well, this paper just came out. The use of unsolicited patient observations to identify surgeons with increased risk for post-operative complications. Okay? JAMA. Right? JAMA. Wow. Now they're talking about themselves. Right? They're studying their own behavior, which is like, and surgeons no less. So what's the skinny? It was a retrospective cohort study at 3 academic medical centers. They used the NSQIP data. Are any of you from any place that uses NSQIP? It's a great database, publicly, everyone buys into it. You submit your data. 32,000 patients, 5 years total. They looked at these unsolicited comments for 3 years, and then they looked at surgeon outcomes 2 years later. So they looked for 3 years. They add up all the comments, look at the comments, and then the 2 years following those 3 years, they looked at the comments. They looked at surgical complications. Wonderful study. Kudos to the authors for doing it. 10.9% of patients in this cohort had a complication. So what? Well, unsolicited patient observations for a surgeon were significantly associated with the risk of having a complication. Does that surprise you? Now, how many of you have good butts? Raise your hand. Good butts. All right. It's got nothing to do with your anatomy. How many times do you say they're really a good surgeon, but? That's what I mean about good butts. You got to be good and you got to be nice. You can't disrespect people. And this study, I think, is going to set the world ablaze, because as an organization, not only do these complications result in patient harm, but what do they result into the organization? Liability. These people are a risk, right? And if you're self-insured, if you're in an organization that's self-insured, you're going to lop those people off. It's not okay to be a good butt anymore, right? You got to be good and you got to be nice. Now, I'm not giving you any idea of how to solve this one, because this is a tough one. This is really tough. This is where medical leadership has to step in and say, look, we know this is happening, and there's got to be consequences to the bad behavior. All right? So, but get this study. Read it. Take it in and give it to your chief medical officer and say, you know that guy I've been talking about, that neurosurgeon that won't talk to people, that don't talk to their patients, right? I reviewed a patient complaint. They said, Dr. So-and-so, I got a bill for Dr. So-and-so who did my operation. Who's Dr. So-and-so? They didn't know their surgeon's name. It's like, holy cow, it's bad. So you can read the rest of this data, but we can't afford to allow this to happen. So this is all about creating this culture, right? All right, so what does that say? How many of you read Swicky, be honest? How many of you said, this jerk doesn't even read his slides? Well, why did some people read Swicky? Because that's our culture. So we're shifting gears here now. We're going to talk about culture. So what is culture? Well, we've got several definitions. How do we measure culture? How many of you know what that is? Geiger counter. Some of the youngsters in the group are like, what? Can you text with it? No, it's a Geiger counter. Why do we have them? Radiation. So before we had these, what would happen? You know, you'd be around radiation and you'd just die, right? No warning, you might get a little sick. What's our cultural Geiger counter? What is our cultural Geiger counter? Could be retention rate, sick calls. The problem is, it's like the frog in the hot water. You know that story? If you put a frog in lukewarm water, the frog's like, wow, this is nice. And you turn the heat up, and over time, the frog doesn't sense the change in the environment. And before you know it, the frog is dead because it was overtaken by its environment. That's what happens a lot of times, because we don't have a cultural Geiger counter. And if you're a good place and you're measuring these things like nurse retention rate and patient complaints, and you have a good scorecard for that unit and the manager, you might be measuring these things, but oftentimes it's too late. And you look back and say, well, of course, this place is awful. It's just a tough place to work. So let's talk about this definition that I use by Shine. Now, Shine is a great author, and he defines culture by the assumptions that go into the environment. The assumptions of the environment. So if I were to ask you, what are some of the assumptions of your environment, of your culture? For instance, you go in and you look, and you go to a meeting, and the person running the meeting says, anybody got anything to add? And it's like just, oh, okay, good. Must be we're good on this. No one speaks up. That's a behavior, that's an artifact. But the assumption is you don't dare speak up. You don't dare challenge this person, right? So if you were to study an ancient culture, what would you do? Well, you'd go look for artifacts. You'd look for writings on cave walls. You'd look for tools. You'd look for stone tools. You'd look for all different kinds of things. Same is true for culture. So you look at the behaviors, which are the artifacts. And when you start to identify these behaviors, that's going to support the culture that exists. Well, how do you change the culture? You change the assumptions. How do you change the assumptions? You change the behaviors to support a new assumption. So if the assumption of the manager is I don't even bother talking to the manager anymore because nothing happens, right? I email over and over and over again. I never get a response. The assumption is the person doesn't respond. The person doesn't care. How does that manager get out of that? Start responding. It's not hard, but it's hard. Okay? It's easy to talk about, but it's hard to implement. So ask yourself, if you're in a tough work environment, what are some of the assumptions that you need to get at? And if you don't know, ask your staff, because they're not shy, and they'll tell you exactly what some of these assumptions are. So this is another little tool that you can use when you get back to help. I'm just going to go briefly through this concept of cultural operating system, because we're talking about culture, and I'm not going to spend much time on it. But there's 4 things that go into it. First is personal. Everyone's got to own it. It's not the manager's job. It's not the nurse's job. It's not the CEO's job. It's not the CNS's job. Everyone has to own it. So if you want change, own it. Okay? If you want to fix something, own it. In crucial conversations, we talk about turn your eyeballs inside out. Look at yourself first. That's a tough message when somebody comes in and they're just irate about something. And, this person did this to me, and I feel like da-da-da. And my first reaction is, well, how were you responsible for, or do you own any of the responsibility for that conversation? No, they're an idiot. It's not me. Well, it takes 2, right? How did you come across? What did you do? So it's first self-directed change. Second is this intellectual honesty. Each other. Can you talk to each other? Right? Can you talk to each other? Third is 360-degree accountability. How many of you as a CNS have a 360-degree evaluation? You want to know how well you do? Start it. Ask for it. Maybe you don't want to know how well you do. All right? But when you start asking the people that you touch every day for feedback, all of a sudden, it's like, wow, I didn't know. So when I was at Strong, we started 360-degree feedback of nurse practitioners, right? And so I would get feedback from the front-end staff. Now, when I'm in clinic, do I care how far behind I'm running? No. Who gets the brunt of my bad behavior? The front-end staff. So the front-end staff are like, when you're late, you have no idea what it does to us, because these patients are livid, right? I'm like, I never thought about that. So try it. It's easy to do. What we would do, we did a survey monkey with like 6 questions, and I said to the NPs, give me 6 to 10 people you want me to send this to. I sent it out, survey monkey. Some of it's point and click, some of it is just a quick response, strengths, weaknesses, blah blah blah, and then ask if you really want feedback. And this, you could apply this to your personal life. I haven't done this yet with my wife, but I'm working up the courage. Ask the question, what's one thing you want to tell me that you don't think I want to hear? Oh, that's a tough one, right? How many of you have the courage to do that? If you're in a great relationship, it tells you about my relationship. But if you're in a good relationship, it's feedback, right? But wow, what a question that is. And then lastly is this influential transformational leadership. It really does start at the top from this perspective. So you have to have that. So I was told once, you always put an inspirational quote in your talk, so this is my inspirational quote. Anybody know what this is? Yeah. It's the miracle game. This is the semifinal game, right? When they beat the Russians. They actually beat the Finns. They beat the Finns in the final, sorry. But they beat the Finns in the final. But so they asked Herb Brooks, who was the coach at the time, and we're still talking about how do you create your culture, this healthy work environment. They asked Herb Brooks when he picked the team, and it was at the time that they couldn't take professional players, so they took college kids and junior players. And he was criticized because he didn't pick the best players in the United States. And you know what he said? I didn't pick the best. I picked the right players. There's a difference. Let me ask you, how do you pick your team? I know there's some managers that check a pulse. Do they have a team? Can you start tomorrow? Yep, you're in, right? And then you get them in orientation, and you're like, how in the world did this person get in the door, right? Because now you have to make them a nurse, a good nurse. And it's like, whoa. Well, here's my one kid story, my Ian story real quick. So Ian's my oldest, and about 5-6 years ago, Ian wanted to get a job at Valvoline, right? Anyone go to Valvoline? Do they have good customer service? Do you think? I think so. I think they're wonderful. I wish I could take that with me to some of the places that I've worked. But anyway, so Ian gets online, and you have to fill out an application electronically, and then you do an assessment, their cultural assessment. Valvoline, they change oil, right? They change oil. So he fills it out, and he sends it, and it says, we're sorry, but you don't fit our profile, and you can reapply in three months. So he calls and tells me this. I said, Ian, it's Valvoline. How can you not fit their profile? He says, Dad, it was stupid. They ask stupid questions. You know, he's that age, right? It's stupid. It's all that. And you can imagine if you got like a 22, 23, 24-year-old, what this conversation is like. And he says, well, what kind of questions did they ask you? Well, one question was, the customer's always right. I said, well, what'd you say? No! I said, Ian! But Dad, if this old lady drives their car through the window, the garage door, they're not right. I said, oh, Ian. So the next day I'm really curious, right? So I get online and I apply. As Ian. And when I get to the assessment, I call him. I said, Ian, I'm not doing it. Ian, come on, just bear with me. No, I'm not doing it. It's stupid. I don't want to work there anyways. I said, come on. I'll buy you a slush puppy or something, you know. I tried to bribe him, and it worked. Love slush puppies. Anyways, so we get to, I coached him through the questions. I didn't answer the questions. I coached him through the questions. Click. An HR manager will be calling you. Congratulations. So the HR manager calls about 3 or 4 days later. He's at home. I answer the phone. Ian applied to the Valvoline. Oh, good for him. Gotta love an energetic kid, right? And he said, well, he didn't exactly follow the directions. He at the first, he applied twice. The first time he didn't pass our assessment. I said, oh, wow. And then he applied the next day. I said, well, maybe he didn't understand the directions. I don't know. And he said, well, he barely passed this one. But we're going to give him a shot. Oh, great. So how much faith do you have in me now to talk to you? You should have none, because I can barely work at Valvoline. But anyways, he got the job. Yes, sir. So I am going to go through these quickly, but a great book if you're interested in teamwork. Lencioni, 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. But look what's in there. So you can flip this around, that good teams do these things well. And there's an assessment tool that Muncie has that you can hand out to your team, and it'll highlight the areas that you do really well in, and some areas that you may want to look at. And there's just more. There's more detail behind it. So, and in addition to that, you have to be able to speak up. So, this is Kathleen's. All right. I love it, so I asked her if I could use it. So here you are at this great meeting, wonderful meeting, 60, 80 CNSs here. Congratulations. And you're going to leave, and you're going to be jacked up, right? You're going to be jacked up, and you're going to go, yes, I can't wait to get to work on Monday. I got so many ideas, and I heard all these great speakers, and I'm like, oh, great. And then you're going to walk into work, and you're going to see three kinds of people. Three kinds of people. Now, you know the positrons, right? They'll do anything for you. They'll work 6 12-hour shifts, and you need the 7th shift, and it's their kid's birthday, but they'll say, yeah, I'll do it. Okay? They need therapy, right? They need therapy, but they'll do it for you. But what do we do with positrons? We burn them out, we take advantage of them, and we take them for granted. And what do? They'll leave if you don't fix it, right? So then, you walk in, and you get hit in the face by a negatoid, right? You know who they are, don't you? You absolutely, and if you all work in the same place, I bet you if you talk to each other right now, you could all come up with the same one or two, right? They suck you dry, don't they? They'll emotionally hijack you. You'll be on this high coming home from this meeting, and then you'll get back, and your first conversations with the negatoid, and it's like, they're like Eeyore. Oh, God. Yeah, tell me about your conference. Big deal. Yeah. I never get to do any of that kind of stuff. Because you're a slug. So anyways, how do you deal with negatoids? They're like cancer, aren't they? And we treat cancer with surgery. Now, it's sometimes difficult to cut this out, right? Sometimes difficult. So, you also treat cancer with chemo and radiation. Peer pressure is human chemotherapy. Okay? If everybody in the organization, everybody in your group, whatever, define it however you want, your shift, your unit, your place, everybody says, I don't do that. We don't do that. How powerful is that? Now, if I asked one of you to stand up and sing the national anthem, you probably wouldn't do it. But if we all stood up and sang the national anthem, we'd all do it, right? Okay. So you got to do something with these folks. That last group is the curious group. And one day they're like, yeah, I love this place, and I'm going to retire from here, and my manager's great. And the next day you walk in, it's like, this place sucks. And as soon as there's a job across town, I'm taking it. All right? And like, what happened? Well, they got infected. Right? They got infected by the wrong people. So this is a challenge. This is where speaking up has to take place to let these people know we don't do this here. But you can't do it alone. It's very risky to do it alone. Okay? Extremely risky. So there's 3 things that are really disturbing. What you permit, you promote. The normalization of deviance. And willful blindness. Now, I first heard this normalization deviance term when we had a consultant come in and she said normalization deviance, and I really started to think about what does that mean? Wow, when deviance becomes the norm, and think of it, do you have anything like that? Yeah, food's always cold, right? Oh, they never empty the trash on the weekends in the ICU. You'd walk in the morning, I'd walk in on Monday morning, and there's trash all over, and it's like, well, they never empty it. Well, it's not okay. All right? but it's become normalized. So the nurses just expect it. They expect no more. It's okay. I walked in one morning, and in our surgical intensive care unit, in a big hospital, and we have money, and behind the patient's head is a folded up bath blanket. I said, "Where's the pillows?" "Oh, the store said we didn't have any." I'm like, "We don't have pillows? This is a hospital. Is it okay for you to have your patient lay on a bath blanket? Do you want to do that?" Okay? But it was okay, because it's just been allowed to go on and on. So the leadership has to step in there. You got to find your voice. And it's not okay to be deviant. All right? It's just not okay. So again, if you want to ask questions, and I have some tchotchkes here too. Stop the silence tchotchkes if you want some. I'm going to get into that in a minute, this social media campaign. So what do you do about it? The first thing is acquire new skills related to communication. Okay? Now, I've been in this business for about 35 years. I'm 58 years old, and I'm in a leadership development program, and I'm pretty hardwired, right? I bet you a lot of you are hardwired. You've been doing it a long time, and it's like, but I'm learning about feedback. I teach it, I'm learning about it, and I have to tell you, when you step back, and part of the exercise of the leadership program was a 360 with other people, besides just my staff, and it's like really eye-opening. But you got to want that. You got to be open to that, and you got to accept that I probably need new skills. So here's one of my epic failure stories. When I was a new manager, I was like 26, and I get hired at the VA to be the manager of the surgical intensive care unit. I'm 26. I know nothing. Okay, I know nothing about managing, but I was a good nurse. Got that tap on the shoulder, and they said, "Why don't you be the manager?" And then what did they say? "Good luck." Right? Good luck. So I had to counsel my first person. It was one of those alpha females on nights. I'll never forget. You got the picture of the person in your head, right? Y'all have them. And I just got wind that we were losing one of our new grads that we just hired to nights because this woman just mistreated her. So I had to counsel her. So I'm 26. I don't know much. I get the counseling letter. She comes into my office. It's at the end of her shift. Mistake number one: don't approach an alpha female at the end of her shift. Okay, especially with a counseling letter. I give it to her. She looks at me. I'm sitting in my chair. She looks at me. "You're an ass." I'm like, "Oh, what book tells you what to do when someone calls you an ass?" I couldn't come up with it, right? And it was before Google, so I had to go to Sinnel, and I had to look up, I couldn't find it. So some of you have no clue in this room what Sinnel is. That's bad. Okay? What's the stacks? I don't know. But anyways, go in with pockets full of quarters and down to the basement to print all those articles. Anyways, I digress. But what's my point? You got to develop new skills. You have to develop skills around communication, because if you can't communicate, what's the deal? You're not going to be successful. My wife reminds me of that every day. Okay? "Whoa, I didn't know you were speaking on Saturday. I thought it was Friday." I don't know. Must the communication someplace. So next thing, leadership development. Leadership development across the board in nursing is lacking. Amen. It's lacking. We take these talented people and we put them in leadership management roles. We teach them how to do budgets. We teach them how to staff. We teach them what their man hours per patient day is, right? And then we just say, "Lead your unit," and they fail because no one has stepped up to help them lead. And then they get burned out, they get frustrated. So we need better leadership development. And you guys are one of the keys to that. And I don't know what your relationship is with the managers you work with, okay? But you have to develop that relationship. Help the managers. they're really good people, for the most part. They just don't have the skills yet. And we have to help them. And there's nothing worse than losing talent because the system failed. Because you are nursing system engineers, right? And that's what you do. You engineer the system. Don't even think about magnet without CNSs, right? That's what I tell every place that calls me, because when I was at Strong, we had 26 exemplars, all right? The last review, 26, right? So it was a good place. So people would call us and say, can you help us? And I'd say, how many CNSs you got? You mean nursing system engineers? I said, yeah, that's what I mean, nursing system engineers. So we need better leadership development. What else? You have to have shared governance, okay? In some form or another, you have to have shared governance. Develop your do's and taboos. Create the cultural operating system you want from the top down. Practice and take risks. It's all about patient safety. And hire nursing system engineers, also known as CNSs, okay? Have to have it. So, this really got me going. I was so excited. There's a great podcast called MCRIT. If you're into critical care, emergency medicine, critical care, mcrit.org. The guy that runs it's at emergency medicine, critical care.com in New York. And I love his stuff. And he did a podcast on rudeness. And it's interesting to hear physicians talk about their interpersonal relationships with each other. He said, I've been an emergency medicine physician for 13 years. I'm attending. And the attending surgeons come down here and treat me like I'm an intern. Because there's this power gap. So now physicians are talking about rudeness. Did you ever think that we'd get to that point? I'm like, yes. So right away, he's at MCRIT. He said, Scott, I got to talk to you. So we're supposed to talk in the next couple of weeks because I'm really excited about his stuff. All right. This is the Stop the Silence page coming up. Wait. So this is, if you want to join, certainly you can join. Come up and grab some tchotchkes when you're done. I would appreciate anything that you can do to help spread the word. It started off as a small little kind of project. We're up to 3,200 members now. You'll be able to find this talk on Facebook Live on the page. You have to be invited, or you have to ask to join. It's not an open group. I want to keep the lurkers down, and I've had some interesting stories about that. So, nice talk, but what are you going to do differently? When you leave here, you have to promise me that you're going to do something different. So let's learn from Oz. Because people call me and they say, what can I do? Well, what you have, what did we learn from the Wizard of Oz? Huh? He was a regular person. What did he teach us? We have everything we need within us. Right? Courage, a heart, and a brain. That's all we need. And y'all got it, right? So let's learn from Oz, because it's all there. This is one of my favorite, Maya Angelou. I'm sure a lot of you have seen this before. And this is what I tell my students. You know, when you leave a patient's bedside at the end of your shift, if all I ask is that you've made a difference in their life today. You're not going to cure them necessarily. You're not going to answer all their questions, but make a difference. So I'll leave you with that. It's an honor and a privilege to speak to you today. That's Lindsay, the pooker. She's living with one of those things, you know, I'm going to Switzerland to work. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh, who's this Evo guy? Well, he's a friend. Oh, you know when they text you and they say, do you and Mom have some time to talk? Oh, what stories do you tell yourself? Anyway, so then she got married. So that's the pooper. And then, of course, I have to do props to my other kid. That's Ian. He got married this year. So, again, it's my privilege and honor to be with you today. I hope this helps. If you need anything, please reach out to me. Come up here, grab some stuff. I got plenty of stuff. I'll stick around I'm here till tomorrow, so if you want to chat, you got some problems you want to talk about, or good stories you happen to talk. Therapy, fit, safe travels, everybody.